Have you ever heard a story that feels like a secret, like it's being whispered, rather than shouted from the rooftops?
Oh, absolutely. Those hidden stories, especially ones that have been passed down through generations, those are the ones that really capture the imagination.
Right. And today, we're diving into one of those stories. It's a legend from the Dominican Republic's Sierra de Bahoruco Mountains about a lost treasure connected to the legendary Taino leader, Enriquillo.
Enriquillo, fascinating figure. His story alone is full of twists and turns.
It really is. And what's so captivating about this particular legend is that it might be more than just a tale of buried riches. It could hold clues about history, culture, maybe even spirituality.
Those hidden layers are often what make these stories so compelling. They offer a glimpse into a different way of seeing the world.
Absolutely. And to guide us through this deep dive, we're using excerpts from a document called, well, the title translates to The Lost Treasure of Enriquillo.
Catchy title. I'd definitely pick up that book.
Me too. Now, the document begins with the story of Sebastián Peralta, a Dominican archaeologist who made a remarkable discovery near Lago Enriquillo.
Lago Enriquillo, that's a place with its own share of legends and mystery.
It is. And this discovery just adds another layer to the intrigue. Peralta found an ancient engraving in a cave, and right alongside it, a Taino parchment.
Wow. A parchment. That's a pretty significant find. What do we know about the Taino?
The Taino were the indigenous people of the Caribbean, including the island of Hispaniola, where the Dominican Republic is located. They had a rich and complex culture.
I see. So this parchment could offer some really valuable insights into their beliefs and practices. What was on it?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. It wasn't just any old parchment. It had some very specific symbols, particularly the sun surrounded by spirals. And get this, you know the pictographs at the 27 Charcos de Tamahagua?
Yes, those beautiful waterfalls with the ancient rock carvings. I've seen pictures.
Well, that same sun and spiral symbol appears there too. It's not just a coincidence, right?
That's a strong connection. It suggests some kind of shared meaning, a common thread running through different Taino communities.
It's like they were sending messages across time, waiting for someone to decipher them. And that's where Camila Espinal comes in.
Camila Espinal, is she the Taino history expert I've heard of?
That's her. And this discovery drew her right in. But the team didn't stop there. They also brought in someone with an even deeper connection to Enriquillo,
Really? Who was that?
a man named Don Ramon, who claims to be a direct descendant of Enriquillo's followers.
Wow, talk about a living link to the past. That's incredible.
And he knows the Sierra de Bahoruco mountains like the back of his hand. There are hidden trails and paths up there that have been passed down through generations of his family.
So we have an archaeologist, a historian, and a local guide with ancestral ties to the legend. What a team.
The perfect blend of expertise and personal connection, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like something out of a movie. So where does this incredible team head to first?
The journey starts at Lago Enriquillo, a place already shrouded in its own mysteries. From there, they venture into the Sierra de Bahoruco Mountains.
Those mountains are pretty rugged, aren't they?
Oh, incredibly. The document describes dense vegetation, almost impenetrable in places. It paints a picture of a truly wild and challenging landscape.
Makes you wonder if that's why the treasure, whatever it might be, has remained hidden for so long.
Deliberately concealed, maybe? Protected by the land itself?
Could be. And as they're making their way through this difficult terrain, Don Ramon starts sharing stories about Enriquillo. Should we give our listeners some background on this important figure?
Absolutely. Enriquillo was a Taino cacique, which means chief. He led a resistance movement against the Spanish colonizers in the early 1500s.
He fought for his people's freedom and their right to their own land, a true hero.
And what's remarkable is that after years of struggle, he actually achieved a negotiated peace treaty with the Spanish. Pretty rare for that time.
It speaks to his leadership, his ability to fight when necessary, and to negotiate when the opportunity arose.
Exactly. And according to the legend that Don Ramon shares, before his death, Enriquillo had something hidden, something sacred, but he didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands.
So this wasn't just about hiding treasure for treasure's sake. It was about safeguarding something important to the Taino people.
Something so important that its location was passed down through generations, only to be revealed when the time was right.
And we haven't even talked about the other group that's after this hidden relic, this foreign organization. They seem to have a very different motivation.
True, it adds a whole other layer of complexity to this story, and maybe even some danger.
Danger? What do you mean?
This organization isn't just interested in the spiritual or cultural value of what might be hidden. They believe this relic could unlock even bigger secrets
Secrets about what?
about the Taino people, their history, their connection to other cultures across the Caribbean.
So they're not necessarily looking for treasure in the traditional sense. They're seeking knowledge, information.
Exactly. And they seem willing to go to great lengths to get it.
That brings up an important point for anyone listening. The same object can be viewed in very different ways, depending on who's looking at it.
And sometimes those different viewpoints can clash, leading to conflict. But let's get back to our team. They're following the clues from the parchment, relying on Don Ramon's knowledge of those hidden paths. And eventually, they reach a hidden cavern behind a waterfall in Parque Nacional Jaragua.
Parque Nacional Jaragua, that's a stunning national park. I can just imagine how breathtaking that waterfall must be.
And behind that waterfall, in this secret cavern, they discover pictographs.
Pictographs, you mean like ancient drawings or symbols on the cave walls? What do they depict?
The document interprets them as a series of trials or tests, challenges designed to determine who was worthy of discovering what lay hidden.
Almost like an ancient safeguard, making sure that only those who understood the true significance of what they were seeking could find it. I love that.
A test of character, maybe? A way to ensure that the knowledge wouldn't fall into the wrong hands? It's fascinating, isn't it?
Totally. And it gets better. The inscriptions lead them further, through a narrow passage to an ancient temple carved right into the rock.
It's like something out of an Indiana Jones movie, but real.
So what happens inside this hidden temple?
Well, according to the document, they encounter riddles. And these aren't just any riddles. They're rooted in Taino cosmology.
Hold on, cosmology. Could you explain that for folks who might not be familiar with the term?
Sure. Cosmology refers to a culture's understanding of the universe, its origins, the stars, the natural world, how everything fits together. So these riddles were likely designed to test their knowledge of Taino beliefs.
I can see where Camila's expertise in Taino history would really come in handy here.
Absolutely. Her knowledge was crucial. The document even mentions one specific riddle that stood out. It had something to do with the Dama de los Angeles.
The Dama de los Angeles. Now, that's a name that evokes mystery and intrigue.
Right. According to local folklore, she's like a guardian spirit, a protector of the island's secrets.
It's so interesting how these legends intertwine with the historical narrative. It creates this rich tapestry of stories and beliefs.
I know. And it's at this point, just as they seem to be on the verge of uncovering the treasure, that the other group shows up.
The foreign organization, what happens?
They ambush our team, demanding the map. The situation escalates quickly. It becomes clear that these two groups have very different ideas about what this treasure represents and what should be done with it.
Tensions are running high. Everyone wants that map, but for different reasons.
It becomes about more than just finding a lost treasure. It becomes about power, control, who gets to decide what happens to the past.
This is where things get really interesting for me, because this is where we see that the true nature of the treasure might be completely different from what anyone expected.
You're talking about the moment when Don Ramon reveals that it's not gold or jewels they're looking for.
Exactly. This isn't a treasure in the traditional sense. It's something far more valuable.
He tells them that the true treasure is an ancient codex.
A codex. What kind of information did it contain?
Think of it as a historical record, a collection of knowledge passed down through generations of Taino people.
What kind of knowledge? Give us some details.
It detailed their resistance against the colonizers, their understanding of the earth and the stars, their relationship with nature.
Wow, this codex sounds like a treasure trove of information about the Taino worldview.
It redefines the whole concept of what's truly valuable. It's not material wealth, it's history, it's wisdom, it's cultural legacy. And that's the true lost treasure of Enriquillo.
This is what makes these deep dives so fascinating. They make you question your assumptions, reevaluate what truly matters. If you were in their shoes, what would you do with this priceless codex?
Well, in the story, Sebastián and Camila make a choice.
What do they decide?
They decide to keep it a secret, to protect it.
That's a huge responsibility. Why do they make that choice?
They believe that the knowledge contained within the codex is too important to risk falling into the wrong hands. They feel a responsibility to safeguard it for future generations, to share it when the time is right.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most important act of preservation is to keep something hidden, to protect it from those who might exploit or misuse it.
Exactly. And in doing so, they ensure that Enriquillo's story, the story of the Taino people, remains connected to the land, to the mountains that hold their history.
It's a powerful statement about the importance of cultural heritage, the need to respect and protect it.
And I think that's the key takeaway from this deep dive. What do you think?
I agree. We often think of treasure as something material, something tangible. But the real treasures are often the stories, the knowledge, the legacies that connect us to the past and shape who we are.
So as we wrap up this exploration of the last treasure of Enriquillo, let's leave our listeners with something to ponder. What hidden legacies might exist all around us, waiting to be rediscovered? What stories are encoded in the landscapes we inhabit, in the whispers of our ancestors? And maybe, just maybe, those hidden stories hold the keys to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.